My name is Keigher, and the theme of my input is a forest owner's experience so far. Now, I live in Roscommon. I'm a livestock farmer. I farm suckler cows. I also planted land in Boyle, which was an out farm, 30 kilometres away from home. A farm that had heavy rush cover and needed a lot of maintenance. So in 1996, we decided we'd plant that farm. What prompted us to plant the farm was the fact that I attended a lot of information days organised by Teagasc and talking to different farmers and that type of thing. So that was my main motivation. This is the farm, the site that we planted. It was planted in 1996. It's on the main road from Ballinameen to French Park. We planted 22.85 hectares, 56.5 acres. The breakdown of the species of the timber we planted there was 10.61 hectares of Teagasc spruce, which we planted up on the higher ground, and 10.82 hectares of Norway spruce, which was planted across the road on the lower side there, and out at the back, which was the lower areas. And we also planted 0.98 hectares of oak and ash, which was planted just in from the road, and 0.44 hectares of broadleaf or biodiversity. We were hoping the corncrake might come back and take up habitation there, and that's where the real money might be. But unfortunately, I haven't seen them yet. After planting, the company that planted the forest did maintenance on it for 4 years, and this is a very critical period of time when, after planting a forest, it's important for the good of the establishment of the forestry. A lot of stems will fail in the the first 4 years due maybe to drought or maybe hares nipping them or whatever. Now, I took a very active role in this myself as well, and I worked on it on a regular basis, walked through it, and hounded, of course, my contractors and get them in. There's a problem here and this sort of thing, and thankfully it got going and it worked out very well. As the years move on, the trees grow up and get more valuable. You're restricted from moving through the forest yourself until such time as the canopy flows in on top and the vegetation will die down underneath the trees and the lower branches start to die away. You're gradually going to get access again to the forest to see what's happening in there. The thinning process, then we start thinking of thinning. Initially, my main concern was how much am I going to get for my thinnings, and I talked to various harvesting companies and they give me prices on thinnings for the various grades of timber and that sort of thing, and I'd say, Christ, that's no good at all, I won't bother, I won't leave it, and I'd let it hang on for a while, you see. But by going to open days and some Teagasc events and talking to farmers and this sort of thing, and they'd start telling me, I thinned my forest 2 years ago. Christ, you couldn't believe how it has improved since I thinned it, and this sort of thing. And I'd say, what did you get for the thinnings? Well, now the thinnings, I wouldn't have got an awful lot for the thinnings, but it certainly has improved the forest. this sort of talk sort of changed my mindset. I began to look at the finished product a bit more and this type of thing, and informed myself and went and looked at forests that was thinned and one thing and another. So in the end anyway, I was guided more by the well-being of the forest than by the price I was going to get for the thinnings. The first thinnings, 2012, I'm planning for the Forest Road. I had problems dealing, of course, with the county council, delays and one thing and another, having to look for planning permission, etc. Felling license, apply for a felling license, look for grants for the forest roads. The forest road we identified a contractor to do the forest road for us in 2015. We put in 540 metres, including large culverts, and we got a very good road built. I was very hands-on in most of this operation, and I had been in through forests where there was quite a lot of timber put under roads and that type of thing, but I insisted on getting rock and stone put in rather than this. This is going to save in the long run, and I can see after having timber taken out and that the road stood up to it quite well. Then we had to identify and agree harvesting or thinning contractor. I went for East Log on this one, and of course we again I wanted to know how much I was going to get for my timber, so I got a price for the various grades, but I wouldn't know how much money I was going to get from my pocket until we saw what the forest would produce. We agreed that we'd go ahead with it anyways, and of course we got all the information, starting time for when the forest could be started, when we'd finish, when the job would be complete, the contractor's copy of his insurance. Now the timber was going out onto a back road which passed by a school, and we had quite a bit of concerns there. Talked with Mark Hogan, was the man who was in charge there. I talked with Mark and asked him, could we avoid bringing timber or lorries in and out by the school during the early mornings when parents would be dropping off kids at the school, and again in the afternoon by the hours of 2:30 and 4 o'clock in the evening when parents would be collecting their kids and this sort of thing. So Mark was pleased to do that. So I called to the school principal and told them we may be causing them a bit of disruption with lorries going in and out, that we were taking timber from a forest inside. Gave her my phone number and told her that we wouldn't be allowing any lorries in or out during the peak hours in the morning or in the afternoon when parents would be collecting their kids. But thankfully everything went fine, and the thinning went ahead. And the plantation at that stage was 20 years old. The total amount of timber that was taken from the forest amounted to 984 tonnes. The pulp was 380 tonnes. There's a breakdown of the various grades. 388 tonnes, 39%. Bornamona and Edenderry was where that was sent into for the power stations. Stakewood, 266 tonnes, 27%. Like Hughes of Cavan were the people who bought that. The pallet and box wood, 312 tonnes, 32% of the total went to Murray's in Ballygar. And saw log was 18 tonnes or 2% also went to Murray's in Ballygar. So my net return, the check I got after everything was paid for, came to €14 per tonne, or just short of 14,000 euros. I contracted out all of this work. I left the sale of the timber and all that to East Log, and they organised all of that, and I had no worries about paying contractors or anything. Looking back and forward, advice and information was vital to me in the early days, because this was a total new concept of farming to me. By going and talking with Teagasc and with the Department of Agricultural Forest Services, I got loads of information and found them to be very helpful. I should have thinned the forest earlier. It was 20 years when I thinned it, and I can see the mistake I made now that I hadn't thinned it earlier. Luckily enough, with the storms of the winter, with very, very little wind blow, not many trees fell over. The odd ones did, but no massive amounts. Contacts are so important. The people I used, they were very, very important to me, because they knew what they were about, and it took a lot of pressure off myself as well. And looking forward, the second thinning, we're planning to do it in 2019 or 20. And the value hopefully will be going up. Timber security was a problem that I have a thing about. I think it's very important for people that are thinning to be able to control the entrance to the forest, either by a pole or having something there that you'll be able to operate yourselves or have somebody to operate. It's important that we get as much information as possible about forestry and how the whole thing works. Good forward planning is essential. Give yourself plenty of time to organise the various things, to get your grants and talk to the people and be happy with what you're doing. Thin on time, that's the lesson I learned, rather than on price. And not to put the plantation in risk with wind blow or one thing and another. My overall experience was good. I got all the information I needed. I had no problem with contractors. I got on very well with them all. And I think that's very important to be talking. When the harvesters and that comes in, I would say it's important that you walk through the forest yourself or get somebody to walk through it and be sure and be confident with the people that are coming in that they're going to do a good job, because every forest will be thinned well where it's easy access, but it's important, I think, as well, to go back into the body of the forest and see what's happening back there as well, and that type of thing. We're looking forward to the next thinnings, and hopefully the prices will be better for the second thinning. That's my presentation, and I thank Teagasc for having the confidence in inviting me to give this talk here today, and thank you very much for listening.